speech, and then also followed by a 5-minute Q&A with the audience. Okay. All right, yes, very exciting. Okay, so Bill's going to be speaking from Speeches by Management Manual from the 90s. Woo, I told him I watched The Office this weekend, so I'm kind of giggling reading this. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Our next speaker is delivering a speech from the Speeches by Management Manual, Project 5, Confrontation, the Adversary Relationship. The objectives of the speech are to understand the definition and nature of the adversary relationship, prepare for an adversary confrontation on a controversial management issue, employ appropriate preparation methods, strategies, and techniques for communicating with an adversary group as the representative of your company or corporation. In this speech, the speaker will ask you all to play the role of citizens in our lovely country, a role you already have, and he will be proposing a change in citizenship for those of us who wish for more freedom. The time is 5 to 7 minutes for the speech, followed by 5 minutes for questions. The speech title is The Freeman Project. Please help me welcome Phil Brady.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I want to tell you about a dream I had, a vision of the future and what the future could be like. It's 9 years from now. I'm 75 years old. I get up in the morning, I get dressed, I go out to the garage, I open the garage door. I climb on my motorcycle, I tie a do-rag over my sleeve, put on my sunglasses, no helmet, fire that thing up, and cruise over the river and across the causeway. Take a left to head south. And I'm riding along, rolling the power up, and all of a sudden the deputy sheriff pulls me over, asking my license. Takes one look at my license and he says, "Mr. Brady, where are you going this morning?" I said, "Going to Myrtle Beach, have lunch with some friends." He says, "Sir, you have a great day." He hands me my license back, he leaves, and I leave. Now you may be asking, why didn't he give me a ticket for driving without a helmet? And in my vision of the future, he didn't give me a ticket because I have a new status on my license of free man. Or it could be free woman or free person, whichever you would like it to be called. And this new status exempts me from all of the nanny laws that we have. All those laws for health and safety that are to protect us from ourselves. Now, nanny law is a law that's set about. Usually the lawmakers and the advocates for these laws enact these laws that don't affect them at all. They don't ride motorcycles, or they don't like the foods that they wouldn't eat those foods anyway that they're trying to prevent you from eating. But I believe in the future we're going to take back our freedom in this country, and I believe we'll do it in such a way that if I want to ride a motorcycle without a helmet, or I want to ride around in my car without a seatbelt, or if I want to drink a 72-ounce super guzzler soda in the middle of Times Square, I'm exempt from the laws that prevent me from doing this. Now, the good doctor here, I'm sure, would tell me that if I had seen as much head trauma as he'd seen in his lifetime, I would strap a helmet on just to leave the house. And he would probably be right if I had seen what he had seen. However, I haven't seen that, and I think that I should be able to determine what is good for me. So I'm proposing this new status of citizenship. When it comes to helmet laws, though, let's just really think about that for a minute. Why would you want to protect a head that doesn't have the good sense to protect itself? Can't we just let natural selection take its course? Wouldn't the society be better off without those people in the first place? Declaring the status of freeman or free woman or free person seems a sensible solution to nullifying those laws that impede our freedom. Can we do that? Can we allow people to act on their own decisions, even if it's something we deem as stupid, even if we see them sitting on the curb? Can we as a society allow people to do that? That's just crazy, isn't it? Just allowing people to do what they want to do. The social contract states that we as citizens should give up our individual rights and encourage others to do the same to advance society forward. Exemption to nanny laws seems like a slap in the face to the social contract. I know of no other country that possesses the freedoms that we have in this country. But here's the thing about freedom. You can't keep it in a box. You can't keep it, the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, in your purse or in a drawer. You've got to take it out. You've got to use it. You've got to dust it off. Keep it well oiled. You've got to lubricate it from time to time. You've got to exercise that freedom. And if we don't use our freedoms, the day is going to come when they'll slowly be chipped away from us to the point where we'll wake up one day and we'll say, we've lost too much. Now, requiring someone to wear a helmet, there's a law in San Francisco that they can't put a toy in the Happy Meals. Nobody's going to grab their musket and get with the militia and go out and fight the British over something like that. They're not going to revolt, but slowly chipping away at these freedoms, we can wake up one day and realize we don't have those freedoms. Imagine a day when you can no longer exercise your right to free speech because the municipality you live in said, well, it's just too inconvenient, it's just too complicated. It costs too much to provide security for you, and then we have to clean up after you leave. If that happens, then people will have to post a bond before they can go and demonstrate, and then after that point, then only the wealthy will be able to exercise their freedom. I urge you to take a stand against these nanny laws that take away our freedom for the sake of order. I urge you to take a stand against the nanny laws and other laws which place the value of order over our freedom. There was an infamous politician who spoke to the people of Hamburg, Germany in 1932. He said, we must have law and order. Without law and order, our country cannot survive. History proves that Adolf Hitler was wrong about that. It is without freedom our country cannot survive. Madam Toastmaster. It's now time for the question and answer portion of the meeting. And what questions may you have? Dave.
Do you know that if you go about 50 or 60 miles south, you can ride your motorcycle without your helmet, legally?
In South Carolina?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I believe Myrtle Beach has a law that says you have to wear a helmet.
Well, on the way down Route 31, which is, anyway.
I think they have a bike week there.
So they do that for Bike Week?
Yes.
I think they did it too.
Because so many people died during Bike Week.
Well, I think they
don't
did
ride
it.
from
Trying
that,
to keep
but-
people away.
Oh, yeah, right.
Trying to raise
Trying to
municipal
control the
revenue.
crowd, but yes. What other questions do you have?
I mean, I'd just like to propose something that we keep that little extra lever on your lawnmower. So I've done some really dumb things trying to reach under and hold that little lever. Just to prevent you from doing.
Bungee cord.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we should get rid of it. It does cause blisters.
I was going to say I haven't noticed the problem.
Advice.
What other questions do you have? Anita?
This brings up the whole issue of gun control, and I sure don't have a solution to that, but can we hear your thoughts on how that's tying into is that a nanny law, seriously? that kind of came up and I went, ooh, ooh, as you were giving your speech, I thought,
I don't consider that a nanny law. That's more of a constitutional right as it stands right now. Here.
What are some of the other nanny laws?
Well, in San Francisco, you can't build a home with a fireplace or wood burning stuff. That's one of the laws they do. Health and safety law. It says in Los Angeles, well, better not skip that. We have children in there.
Cover his ears.
Bill is it de Blasio?
Yeah, New
The
York.
mayor of New York wants to ban ball players from chewing tobacco in the stadiums. They also want to ban horse-drawn carriages. There's estimated there are 200,000 health and safety laws in California alone. Which California kind of is a very progressive state. They lead the way in making sure everybody's safe and towing the line.
So Phil, is it a certain age you get your Freeman license, or is it just, we should just have it for everyone?
That's a good question. I think 28 should be the age.
28, that's what I
I had read that the male brain doesn't fully develop. In other words, it's done all it can do by the age of 28. It's 26 for women, but so I figured it's not that it's fully developed, but it's
as good as it's gonna get.
it's not getting any better. So
Well, then it flips to slow down so quickly.
I was going to say in the speech, and I forgot to say it, that I feel like a grown man who's not yet senile, and then I was going to give a little pause. Should be able to make his own decisions, but the jury's kind of out on that. I'll leave that up to you. Eliza.
One of the big reasons that they did pass helmet laws was not because of deaths, because so many young men are injured in motorcycle accidents who end up paraplegic or whatever, and the state has to pay for it. So I think at some points there is a balancing between how do we want to spend our state money? Would we rather make people wear helmets or rather pay for their lifetime care?
That's a great point. But if the individual was willing to give up his right to public assistance, would he still be free?
Do we want a country where people are lying by the side of the road with no help?
That's why I said, can we allow this?
Yeah, right.
Can we do it? Great question, though. Any more questions? Yes.
More of a thought. Being an equestrian, I rode my whole life, and I rode mostly English, which required wearing a helmet. And just like riding a motorcycle, you fall off. You can fall off because you're riding an animal that often things can happen. You can't control them. And as my daughter grew up and started to ride horses, she started to ride in the Western field of or specialty of riding, and nobody wears a helmet. And I always found that fascinating that in the English side of equestrian world, I wouldn't say it was mandated, but it was an expectation. You would never go into a ring and jump across the fences without a helmet on. So thinking of the motorcycle rider and thinking of the equestrian and the many head injuries that can occur, I guess it's the flip side is, would one think that it would be okay to, I guess you're proposing obviously free person to be able to do whatever you want to do, but there's a case where they are able to do it, but yet there are millions of riders and lots of head injuries that happen. So I'm sure not as many motorcycle riders, but then again, I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's something to kind of contemplate why in one area where someone can, I mean, people get seriously hurt. Just a thought.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
protect our money very well with our nanny laws.